hate that phrase, with a passion. With a passion. Okay. I know y'all probably wondering where I've been. Where did I go? I went through some challenges back in March, and that's when I stopped doing my YouTube channel. So the first video, I did share my Me Too story, and that was very interesting. Some interesting things followed. So I had to go through the healing process. The second video that I posted, it was like a continuation of the healing process. And by the third one, I was like, I had anger issues, and some things happened, and it was, let's just say it was interesting. My anger issues manifested in a way that they've never manifested before. I lacked compassion for people and their situations, and that's out of my character. So when I witnessed it, I just fell back, because before I shared with you all something out of anger or something that's not of God, I was like, let me just fall back. So my fallback game was strong. So that's what I did. That's where I was. As the months went by, I was challenged by God. When I say challenged, I mean challenged. He revealed some things to me, and I had to confront this thing that I've been dealing with for a very long time, which was depression. I've had people ask me, are you depressed? And I'm like, nah, man, watch out. Like, I'm good. Or when I was back in college, the activities counselor was like, Z, you depressed? And I'm like, nah, for real, I'm good. And I probably looked, like my eyes probably said depressed, like, you know, like the cartoons, and they got like the eyes, and where the eyes supposed to be was like letters. That's how I was, like, depressed. But I was still in denial, and I never wanted to just admit that I was depressed. The dean of students was like, Z, you depressed? And I'm like, real talk, I don't know what y'all talking about. I'm not depressed. Then I went and got my master's in counseling, and the teacher was like, Z, you got symptoms of depression. And I was still like, no, y'all can't make me go to a psychologist. I'm good. Which was interesting, because I was going into that field. So it's like, how am I supposed to help people when I haven't even helped myself? But long story short, which is still going to be kind of long because I'm going to continue the story. I think it was just a cliche phrase I wanted to say because it was a filler word. So, yeah. Anywho, so when I moved to California, isolating myself from, I guess, the triggers of my depression, it allowed me to see and meet and face depression, like, naked. It was guarded by nothing. It was masked by nothing. It had nothing to cover it up. It didn't have overwork to cover it up. It didn't have friends to cover it up. It didn't have church really to cover it up. It didn't have familiarity. Speech infection. Help me say, I'm gonna sound it out. Familiarity. That sounds wrong, but that's the word I'm gonna say. So, none of that was there. So all I had to look at was depression and pride, and how they work together to keep me in this state of mind that caused me not to grow and to stagnate everything that I was doing and or thought about doing. And I just fell into a place of complacency, and nothing was being created, but I was still growing because I had to go through that process. And when I met depression, I saw that it was these intricate parts of it that I never wanted to face. Parts such as never wanting to receive out of pride and ego, but always being a giver. But when being a giver, I felt as if it wasn't reciprocated. And it's not that it wasn't reciprocated, it was just, I don't know, it was just, I wasn't processing life to the best of my ability. And depression really did mask it. It was really trying to get me outside of myself. I really lived life within myself and never really opened up to anyone. It was just me and God, and he would always try to communicate with me through people, and that's who I avoided at all costs. Like, for me, I am kind of a people person, but I'm also an introvert, so it's like that little extroverted introvert type thing. But I struggle with trust. Therefore, while being around people, I wasn't able to fully be myself, and that limited my relationships and how far they can go, because I was limiting any accessibility or possibility for approachability. Bars. So God will process you, man. He took everything away from me. And he's done this on numerous occasions. Like in 2015, he took my job away because I was too dependent on money to give to others. And he was like, that's not the only thing that you have to give. You have your story. And I was like, nah, G, I need money. In 2017, he took my job away again. And I was like, girl, like, what you doing, G? Like, how you keep giving me these jobs, you know what I'm saying, and then snatch them away. So apparently I'm not learning my lesson or whatever. So when I moved to California, he got me in like the perfect situation. So I came here not having like just like a real job, but it was a season of servitude. I came here doing AmeriCorps, which is like federal program that allows individuals to volunteer in various locations surrounding different programs catered to like environmental justice, education, just to prevent poverty and or just bring awareness about it. And that's what I came here doing. So by placing me in a situation where I had no family, no blood relatives here, I had no real job here, all I had was myself and my car. Okay, just myself in my car. That's it. That was the only thing he gave me control over. And from there, I tried to step outside of that. I tried to get a job. When I got a job, they weren't giving me enough hours, so I went and got a second job. And when I got a second job, my car, like when I say everything happened to my car, everything happened to my car. I got like flats, I got in a car accident, just everything was going wrong. Like everything was going terrible, which let me know that I wasn't supposed to be doing. So I stopped. And when I stopped, I focused on what it is that he wanted me to do. Because whatever it is that he wanted me to do, it always worked. But in contrast, like as I got closer to what it is that he wanted me to do, more stuff kept happening. So as these things continue to happen, it caused me to go to retreat. And when I retreated, this was a different retreat. It was more so, usually when I retreat, it's like, leave me alone. It's like, back up off of me. Like, don't bother me. I will work it out. I'll figure it out myself. But because of the church family that I joined, like, they wouldn't let me, they wouldn't let me retreat. Like, they would come find me, and I would be like, leave me alone. Leave me alone. And they'd be like, no. And I'm like, please, leave me alone. But they wouldn't let me. And that's exactly what I needed. And while doing so, I was pushed outside of my comfort zone. And I had to pursue those things that God wanted me to do within the church and outside of the church. Which led me to see that if I had those jobs, I wouldn't be able to fulfill those things that He wanted me to do because I would have been distracted. So, y'all be obedient. Like, disobedience will have you like just messed up out here. Okay, like everything will go wrong. Your life will be towed up. Like, it was just it's catastrophic. And it was moments where I really questioned life. Not that I wanted to take my own life, but when June hit, it was a day that I hit rock bottom. Like, I was in the bed, it had to be like 12, 1 o'clock. And I was really there talking to God, like, gee, you know how people, like, when you're stressed out, people just be like, pray about it. Like, you have to be careful with that, because people will pray. Y'all remember, what's that movie? Life is like a box of chocolates. Hey. Forrest Gump. And the little girl was like, I want to be a bird so I can fly far, far, far away. Like, you have to be careful when you tell people to pray through something without praying with them or telling them how to pray, because they will pray to go away. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be cognizant on people's mental stability, and you have to walk in your own purpose. If someone came to you about prayer, like, you pray for them right then and there. Like, don't say go pray about it. Like, don't do that. Side note. But anywho, back to what I was talking about. I had reached rock bottom, and I was like, gee, when I say I'm content, I am content. I can leave right now. Like, you can go and put me in a coma and take me out. Like, I was ready, like, at that very moment. And I laid in the bed, I cried. I went over scriptures didn't do nothing. I don't know if it was like an internal conflict with God and the devil. Like, it was just like within me, just fighting. But of course, ultimately God won, because the next day, like, I got this I don't know, burst of energy. It's almost like I had to reach that point to just really see who I am and who I'm destined to be. That night I dreamt that, like, I was greater than what I saw myself. Although I woke up in disbelief, I still it was still a sign, because I'm very spiritual. So I do listen to God. I'm just hard-headed sometimes, but that's neither here nor there. But exposure to those things allowed me to see exactly what it is that I was supposed to be doing and who I am in Christ as well as in the world. It wasn't meant for me to leave, which is why I'm still here. It was meant for me to share the things that I go through, talk about the things that people don't like to talk about or are afraid to talk about out of fear of judgment or whatever it is. And I mean, and that was one of my problems. Like, people would get mad at me because I'll go through things and you wouldn't even know that I'm going through it until after I've overcome it. And what God was telling me through this process is that you have to learn how to talk to people. Tell your story while you're going through the process, not afterwards. So that they can see how God works in me through the process. Because I was like, yeah, I won. I passed this test or whatever, and I can share it now. But he was like, you got to learn how to share it during. And I was like, man, I don't feel like it. He was like, it's time. And he'll send random people to talk to me, because I know I left for a good little minute. Since March, I left first quarter. And he's been taking me through that process up until now. And I guess I'm back. So I have to share my story in the midst of the storm and not after.